Well, howdy. We're here again. Tonight we read from Greener Pastures, an anthology by Michael Wehunt of his short stories. We read one of my favorites, Beside Me Singing in the Wilderness. Sissa died last year, just shy of her 130th birthday. I ain't talked much to folks since then, except Mr. Pearl. Me and Sissa were both childless. But I've shook it off and traveled such a long way at my brittle age. I've come home to this nameless mountain pouring blood from its bow. Mr. Pearl stands beside my wheelchair, watching the blood fall. It's closer to a trickle now, whether through time clotting some wound or through holes in my memory, I can't be sure. I'm humming snatches of hymns Sis and me made up in our girlhood. Mr. Pearl takes this chance to ask my age. He's been mighty curious these last 2 decades. And I tell him. He gives a sly look, then whistles and says he thought I was at least 40 years younger. I say thanks, but that was still old as bones. He laughs, though it's a laugh with a shiver inside. This far up in Georgia wilderness, you can near enough spit clean into North Carolina. The air smells of recent snow and pine and spruce. It still seems a quiet land, but when I was a child, any folk in these mountains was little more than a mote in the world's eye. I spent just shy of a month here. Sis and me had just turned 7 and shared one button-eyed doll between us. Mama moved us nearby after Daddy got crushed under a locomotive down in Atlanta. We were supposed to start afresh in the new township Mama had heard tell of. They had plans of a lumber mill down in the mountain's foot and a town hall and even a school for us little ones. That's life that would have bustled not half a mile from where I'm sitting withered in this chair. But it wasn't long before somebody found the bloodfall. It spewed forth in them days. A man called Jessup come tearing in the village, what had, of late, been christened Adapine, his mouth dripping red. 2 of the elders had to put him down with buckshot. Folks set out to find what it was he'd gotten into, and within days there was screams tearing at the trees and settlers strung dead across the mountainside, Mama among them. Winter of 1889. I don't recollect the exact date. I miss Sissa fierce, but there's times I can't hardly remember Mama. Faces from before the blood are swallowed up. Pearl looks down at me, and I see the place eating at him. The smile on his lips is that of a starved wolf. His glasses like new pennies in the blood's glare. I can't say what it is bleeding in that rock, but I know how it pulls at you. A magnet tugging at the meat in your head. How the taste of iron gets in your throat and makes you powerful thirsty. So I dismiss him before he can step over to the pool. I've left him the money I got from all 6 of my husbands, for he's done fine by me. Never was I in want of better caretaking. He carted me 400 and some odd miles from Charlottesville, even pushed me the last few of them. He's reluctant to leave, but with the trouble, you take care of yourself now, Miss Alma. He starts picking his way back down to the car. A slow hush falls. The pool stains its rim of snow and the land presses around me. It is bitter cold. I tip forward and unfold myself. The wheelchair rolls back along the flattened ground. I ain't been upright in a pile of blue moons, but already I feel those decades shedding like dead skin. All the same, it's a passing notion. My heart still stacks with time as it ever did. And there's other folk up here, off around the mountainside, but getting closer. I can feel them in my joints. Some are bound to stumble across this pocket of the world now and again, I suppose. Even in the deep of winter, toothless as it is this far down south. Lord, don't let them find this place. Though I reckon I'm wasting my breath on that one. Seems the Lord ain't listened to my voice in an age, if ever he did. I hole up in the log shack, inside the trees a ways from the clearing. It's a ruin of a thing. Much like myself. And it was here when I was but a child. After so many years, the soil must be mystified that either the shack or me still stands upon it. I head for this plastic jug and knock its lid off. Mr. Pearl had to tote it up here because just hours ago I surely couldn't have brought this off the floor. Still, I rest a while before I start drinking Sissa's life. Soon my belly's fit to bust and I need to prepare for the coming day. Sleeping's one of the few things I got in common with regular folks, so it's long been precious to me. I go over to the bed. Sorry thing looks as if it's been used by every critter under the sun. One more won't hurt. Time rippling out, like a lake that won't ever calm after a stone skips across it. I remember us fleeing through that long midday. Pieces of the settlers flung about the clearing by the pool, making red dents in the fresh snow. The drifts reached up to our knees in places, Sissa holding my hand as we ran, both of us painted in blood. The sun was blinding upon all that white. I remember the cave we found, a black mouth with pursed lips we had to wriggle our way into. It was heading to the mountain's face, a mile or more from the bloodfall. We laid up hiding, not sure if any of the townsfolk were still about and seeking us. We listened to the plink of water, never ending down in the cave's throat, and murmurs drifting up from the blackness before we taught ourselves how to build a fire. Something moved deep in those tunnels below, stirring the life against rock. I remember how Sissa sung them first nights through, with her perfect and tuneful voice, a miracle to hear even in her youth. She tried singing hymns we got from Mama in the church at first, me humming her some harmony. But when we did, a burning filled us. Loathsome pain we could feel squirming in our blood. Same thing with our fumbling prayers. The cave clouding with a moist stench. The rustle of what something down in the dark. Wasn't long till we fashioned our own new words, and I'd sat there in cold. We couldn't feel anymore, and listened to Sis's golden tongue. They were hymns a shade or two blacker, and they seemed to please the mountain into sleep. I remember feeling I'd become part of that mountain and ever what was curled up in it. We stayed for a long while, wondering which among God's creatures didn't eat nary a thing. It was a frightful time, and soon we didn't rightly recall what hunger was, nor thirst, except in the raw blood we were in want of. That blood we swore upon each other's names not to hunt, though it wore at us. I remember being still young things, 13 or thereabouts, when the mountain's lips parted enough for our bigger selves to fit through. Sis and me tried to fit back into the world, too. Awful lonesome had been our years in the forgotten hole, even being twins. And it wasn't no better once we'd come down from it and existed beyond the edges of towns, stealing line-hung clothes and eating what we could still get our hands on. The one clear-skied morning found us standing in the town square of Callum, North Carolina, and we watched the way people lived. We'd forgot. I remember us going up to the Baptist church there the first Sunday, such hope in our breasts. How we saw one another's eyes crust black, one step inside the vestibule and our skin cracking like tree bark. The blood in us hot and unrestful as we staggered outside, soiled and wretched things that we was. Churchgoers still milling in the yard began to scream. We sought a new township, but did not set our shameful feet on any more hallowed ground, for it was certain we carried that mountain with us. I remember budding, coming to know how beautiful I was, and how being provided for was a simple thing because of it, what our sense did to men. I remember the first I married, Werther. Now his callous hands felt upon my skin. We wed in 1897. The trespass of his organ inside him, inside the slick redness always there. My barren womb cleaning itself at all times like a mind in denial. I remember the taste of every one of my husbands, and I remember their graves. Marble stones etched with my hope that their lives was good to them. That somehow I was good to them. We were no hunters of the night, me and Sissa, and even when our bodies began to wither from the awful starvation, we did not go seeking nourishment. The starvation became the story we tried to tell ourselves, as we both tried to keep our faces turned to the Christian sun, keep the shadows we held struck in their corners. My husbands knew no ill, though they attended Sunday services alone, and dined alone, lest I wanted to puke it up after. But I could have done far worse evils. And I remember Sissa, always near. She never did agree to marry, and so lived with me through all my matrimonies. She lived for me, I came to realize. Though I embraced the world, its pleasures and its sorrows, it was with Sissa that I was home. We'd often cling together in the night, drawn comfort in one another. Thistle would sing and I'd listen, and that was when we could shut out all this life that just wouldn't quit us. But at the start of it, I remember bathing in the bloodfall. Me and Sissa together, opening our jaws to take it in. We drank deep of its salty richness. All around us were the snarls and the breaking of bone as the mountain's blood boiled in the veins of the settlers. Alone we watched, clear-headed and whole, not knowing how we was any different. We had all the Earth's time ahead of us, and still we'd never come to understand. At least not in a way a woman could hope to reconcile in her endless heart. In the shack, I waked to a face right above mine. Wide eyes staring shock wild. Figures kneel around my bed, shining in a wedge of moonlight held in the doorway. They're young, 3 men and 2 women swallowed up by the coats and scarves. Heavy packs strapped onto their shoulders. Between hanging sheaves of blood-matted hair, the nearest girl swipes a coarse, wet tongue across my mouth. My heart would seize if it could. Get! I yell in their crowding faces. Red smears around their mouths. They've been drinking from the pool. There's nothing here for y'all. I slither from the bed on all fours toward them, and they scamper like vermin back into the silver dark. They're weak and new and a tremble. My blood is strong here. I got nothing to fear from the likes of them, so I drift back into the clouds and sleep a while. Sissa took her blood out. Said she couldn't stand it another day. I desire true sleep, Alma. Told me not long before. This ain't natural. So tired. We both are tired, Sissa. And I laid my hand on her cheek. When she was gone, I realized I'd forgot to ask her to sing for me one last time. That voice from on high. Sissa sounded like an angel, even if she was never allowed to be one. So I brought her tainted blood back to where we got it when we was just little girls. It's heavy in my gut. I reckon I brought mine back too, for I can hear it swishing through me in old circles. Down through the dawn, new snow's falling and new blood spilling on it. Those folks who broke my sleep with their peculiar vigil are tearing themselves apart by the pool. 3 of them are still in one piece, hissing blood crazed a stone's throw from my door. A woman pulls out the eye of the only man left, and for an instant, the sun peeking over the crowns of the mountains like a curious child, he looks right at me with his mess of a face. Then she's at his throat, and he falls with his legs kicking. I've seen this all before. It is wearisome. Mama's pulling the guts out of their own babies just for the doing. I seen my own mama come at Sissa with her teeth bared, and can still feel the weight of the chunk of rock I used to fend her off. I walk over to the pool and get on my knees beside it. But the Lord hollowed, it could be the Lord hollowed through this mountain, out with his own hands. Though what a foul thing he laid in the womb, only he might know. For I surely can't believe it's the blood of Christ issuing forth. Could be the Lord is blind to it, and some God beyond my tongue was wounded something grievous in the depths of the mountain in history. The wound slowed for some, and I dearly hope it scabs over. Or folks will keep on drinking its blood and getting like rabid dogs from it. I reckon I can't know why not Sissa in me. Because of us being twins, or because of the blood having some deeper purpose for us, and this baptism far from the folds of salvation. Soon, one ragged girl remains. She stumbles off. Maybe down to the world, likely just to a gibbering death somewhere among the pines, dirty in this vast white blanket. Better for her to freeze. Quiet fills the cracks of the air back up. I jam a finger down my throat. This is blood that I drunk from the jug comes splashing up, hot with acid and mixes with that of the mountain. I pull out Mr. Pearl's straight razor, flash in the light. It's cold and has a handle to match its name. I wish Sissa had held on just a little while longer. Maybe I just wish I hadn't held on after her. It'd be fine to have her here, as I open my veins to give all this back to whatever gave it. The blood curls and twitches coming out. The mountain leans over me. I can feel it wanting me to keep its gift, to grow as old as its bones, but I will not witness what it's planned for me. I will not become its child or its emissary. Yes, it'd be fine to have Sissa here beside me, singing our old hymns in our own words, to watch the white world grow finally dark, fade into the same red as our tiresome lives and all this stained snow.